Welcome to The Backup. The Backup is brought to you by the best evil person we know, and that is Gladys Berejiklian. Sorry, I mean Evil Spy Boy. Evil Spy Boy is the best evil person we know. Get your exclamation Spy Boys out in the chat, because thanks to his generous Patreon support, Evil Spy Boy is bringing you The Backup, and he's hoping you bring the generosity to Food Bank Australia. Food Bank Australia is Australia's largest food relief organisation, providing 88 million meals a year. There's 241,000 meals a day, and I didn't do that maths in my head. I prepared that to more than 2,600 charities around the country, accounting for 79% of all food received by charities from food rescue organizations. And they also provide regular breakfast for more than 132,000 students at schools around the country. And on top of that, more than 200,000 children seek food relief from their charities every single month. If you want to be someone who is secretly good but externally bad, be like Evil Spy Boy, head to foodbank.org.au. There is a link in Nightbot right now, and donate if you can. Be like Spy Boy.
Don't be like Gladys, who is openly good but secretly bad.
Secretly bad.
The other way around.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true.
ICAC will get you.
Yeah, don't get ICAC on you. They never let up. All right, The Backup is where we talk about the most hard-hitting news of the week, as long as it's related to video games. And I'll tell you what, the first story we have for you today is one that you definitely all know about because it affected everyone watching right now, but it was big enough that it just made news on every website, and that, of course, is the Twitch hack. It's real, it's massive, and according to some security experts, who are apparently aghast at the scale of thing, they said, quote, "This is as bad as it could possibly be." If for some reason you don't know about it, last week Twitch, we think Twitch got hacked last week, but last week all the info got dumped around the Twitch hack, and that is a massive amount of information. It's like 125 gig of sensitive data, source code for the entire website.
Which is a Word file too. Like 128 gig as Word docs is huge. Like, it doesn't sound like much as data, but it's like, it's a lot when it's spreadsheets.
My year 12 essays were like pushing a megabyte.
Yeah.
Oh, a megabyte. You had pictures, you had word art in there.
Pictures, yeah, totally.
You had a word art title.
This is why Blade Runner was great. It's just a photo of Harrison Ford. Submit.
And so the Lily Peppermint says, "Do we need to change our passwords? I'm out of the loop." Yes, you should. Even though Twitch do,
you should change your passwords, but stream keys got reset by Twitch.
Yes. Twitch do not think that passwords got leaked out, but it is just a staggering amount of information leaked out. And I think, Gus, for me, the scariest part of this, aside from the fact that like the actual way that Twitch is built got released, is that Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon run a huge amount of the internet. And if they could get in to Twitch, then what does that say for the rest of Amazon?
Yeah, I think you're right. The umbrella company that owned them being such a huge, possibly the biggest company in the world right now, that's the reason I imagine all those anti-hacker people who are in the security are totally flawed by this, is because when this happens to a company, like, hacking is happening more and more, I feel like. Maybe it's just because we do news now from time to time, but it just feels like a lot more stuff is just finding its way out there. Maybe it's becoming easier. Maybe it's just, I think it's that inevitability that's just, it's impossible to keep something locked down. There are too many variables of people that are trying to find their way in. But when it happens to something like a Twitch/Amazon, then you do really worry, because they were becoming this company that is like the Disney of the sort of the produce/send me things. And so it's like, for them to not be able to lock something down as well does make you think, well, if the biggest company in the world can't, then we're all screwed, so to speak. I do think that, like, in terms of the way this hack went through, it wasn't malicious in a chaotic sense. It wasn't in there to try and just like get everyone's credit card details out and passwords. It was directed at the platform based on the fact that it seemed like there was protest against a lot of the issues that Twitch has had in the past few months. The biggest part of it was obviously leaking the income streams or the income revenue that a lot of the major or the top Twitch users were earning. I don't really know as a way
That
of
was
kind
like
of
that was the flashiest thing.
yeah.
I don't think the
I'm
most
like,
important thing that got like
not the most important, but the thing
distributed.
that seemed to like get the most sort of sort of it was in the spotlight. And there was other information in there as well. But in that sense, I feel like it was more protest rather than anarchy hacking, which is the stuff that scares me more, I guess.
Well, it's more anarchy hacking than focused hacking, I think, is like, because it is anarchy hacking for protest. Like, they said that they wanted to foster disruption and competition in the online video space because the Twitch community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool. And it is one of those situations where you go, releasing the entire build for what Twitch is and Twitch's hacking tools as well, so that all the things where it's like, this is how we deal with hacks, this is our security protocols, also get out there, means that the ways that they're keeping themselves safe have also now been completely exposed.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see the repercussions of where this goes in terms of that element of it with the hack. Obviously, there were we spoke about the leaking of all the information about streamers, how much they earn. A lot of that was kind of like not publicly known, but you could figure it out based on the
Pretty easy to deduce because subscriber numbers weren't particularly hidden anyway. So it's just mathematics.
Yeah,
but it is like a stark. It's a weird thing to look at people like Ludwig and X Cow or whatever the fuck his name is. Like, they're through their subscriber base getting millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that gives them access to just subscribers. That gives them access to massive sponsorships as well. So that, that money is just like a small, it's a significant amount of money, but it's a portion of their income. But then it's like, it's weird to see, like, you have these people making this much money from subscribers, and then there's people also donating to them. And it's like, don't donate to millionaires.
Yeah, I know. It's that's the weirdest thing for me. It's
They're millionaires, like literally.
If you've hit a level where you're earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from subscribers, it's just like, why are people giving them $5? Like, oh my god! But, it's your money, do what you want. But it's just
it escalates in the way that it's more exciting to have a millionaire calling your name out on stream than someone who's not earning money. It's like
totally true.
Yeah,
it's so true. Like, it's like, I guess it's like a celebrity, right? Like, it's like So, but then obviously all that stuff bad. Everything's still bad, but something that was interesting as part of the hack was that there is apparently an unannounced project called it's codenamed Vapor. That they found within this leak. This had been something that had been previously rumored, but basically it looks like it is a Steam competitor on Twitch, and I think that it is the most obvious thing that Twitch could possibly do. I think that even with this leak, it will probably still go ahead. There was another part of like Vapor World, which was some sort of like PlayStation Home-esque thing that was in the works. But the idea of like
sounds gnarly, man.
It sounds great. I mean, like PlayStation tried to do this, and then it feels like have not spoken about it since the launch of the PlayStation 5, with that thing of like, you can watch a streamer play the game and then you can like hit a button and go to
give them a tip or something.
No, but like you can buy that game by hitting a thing. Stadia does the same sort of thing where like you're watching someone play a game and you can click a button, it takes you to a YouTube channel at that exact moment, blah blah blah. But the idea of like Steam also being a shopfront for actual games and not just like free stuff that comes out as part of like the Twitch Plus thing. Pete, I know that we're probably not ready for another storefront because we've got so many of them, but this seems like out of all of them, the one that has the most potential to work.
I mean, I don't immediately go like, oh yeah, Amazon will get that right.
They're struggling with games still.
But that's one thing Amazon knows, it's storefronts, right? Like,
they got
that.
I mean, yes, but yes and no. Like, I still think Amazon is like, if you know what you want, it's easy to get it. But it's actually a pretty rubbish storefront, in my opinion. It's just that we're used to it. I don't think it's a particularly good at serving. You go there for something. You go there to shop, not. If I ever browse on Amazon, I never find the thing that just random things that I want. tend to find that like through like pushed marketing on other apps or
totally. And then
through the social groups that I'm part of that are talking about a thing. But yes, obviously they have the infrastructure to be able to build something that can compete with Steam. They've spent years building relationships with publishers, even in things like Prime Gaming, where you can get free loot by being a part of it, by being an Amazon Prime member. There's parts of these relationships that need to exist already do exist. I can't imagine a Ubisoft or an EA going, well, we're not going to sell our games through Amazon's platform. So if they're putting them onto Steam as well anyway. It totally could be, it totally could work, but it doesn't sing out to me as immediately Steam should be worried about, like threatened by what Amazon could do, because I would argue that Epic are a much better position to do the same thing, and Epic's, I think, a great store, but it's not a replacement. So I don't know what Amazon could do to actually properly threaten Steam.
Also, like the comparison solely with Steam, which I've seen across a lot of articles and things like that, like Steam is a storefront, and as you said, Nick, there's a heap of those. As a Steam competitor, I assume, therefore, the comparison's being drawn in the fact that they're trying to topple probably the most successful storefront. Is that kind of the vibe we're going with that? Because like everyone else has been making their version of Steam. So again, I just found it interesting that was the kind of the wording that was used. It wasn't they are also building a digital storefront for games. They are making a Steam competitor.
I think it's with the exception of like Epic and GOG, all the other storefronts are from publishers. Like it's all like Ubisoft and EA and
it's all
right.
Like
they sell their own games. I think I don't know. For me, I just go like they have a captured audience who are coming there to watch games, and if you just have like a button on that thing that goes buy the game that this streamer is playing, like I go to Twitch. I'm looking at Twitch right now, and it looks like a store.
You better be watching us.
No, I don't give a shit about the show. I only donate to millionaires. But I like it's just thumbnails of video games that are tempting me to buy them. And so I think that they have this captured audience. It is the place to go to watch video games, and adding a button that's like buy this thing and then a tab that's like, hey, instead of just seeing all the games that are streaming right now, here's like a list of icons of games that you have that you can play.
Launch your game through this browser. Yeah,
just
maybe.
Look,
it's
you're totally right about that, of them having an audience that's so ingrained. They're in the same position that Google and Apple are in, where you're like once you're part of the ecosystem, it's hard to leave. And it's part of the reason why Google's like YouTube live streaming is hard to move across to, because it's like, I don't want to make a new account, and it's like, and it's less functional. That's a big part of it as well. But just sort of, I just boosted your audio a little bit, Nick, but your mic's a bit all over the place with Windows 11.
No, it's not Windows 11. It's me and my microphone. You know this.
Me and my mic.
Why are you defending Windows 11? So like,
I'm sure, and it's a decision he made, and he has to be right about it. Otherwise, he wastes a lot of time.
No. I know that.
Why are you defending billionaires, Nicholas?
I rolled the dice with that, as I always do. But it's just that I've never been lucky when it comes to like.
I just want to add a point that when you mentioned, Nick, about like the ideal world of watching a game on stream and then clicking buy it here, for me it's the total. Maybe it's personal, but it's the total opposite. I want to go to a storefront, see a game, and then go, I wonder what that's like to play and watch it. I go to Twitch not to play games, so I'm sure it makes sense, and it's, you need to have every avenue open in these platforms. But people on Twitch, I think they might. I don't think they'll overestimate, but they could, in the sense of like, so many people are there just watching games, going, I wish I could play them. It's like, nope, that's why they're on Twitch. They are there because they do not want to play it and they want to watch someone else. So I'm sure it would be an extra few pennies in their pocket if they get it right, but it's not exactly like, suddenly everyone who's watching turns into gamers at the exact same time.
I think that I love you, but I'll never, ever, ever take the way that you deal with online video game platforms as the norm of how people treat them.
Yeah, like, that's true.
You and your opinions on Discord are wonderful, but completely wrong. And I
are they my opinions on Discord, the platform, or when I get on it and awkwardly try to put my opinions on Discord and I don't know where I am?
Well, talk to me about your opinions on the next news story we've got, which is Ubisoft's announcement of Ghost Recon Frontline, which is a new battle royale, their third battle royale potentially after Hyperscape, and most likely the Division Heartland is shaping up to battle royale as well. You love Ghost Recon. You are the Ghost Recon guy. Is a battle royale what you want from this series?
Maybe. This is obviously a mode that's being pushed on the most recent Ghost Recon, which was Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which came out a couple of years ago and didn't get great reviews. It was massively hyped, but after Ghost Recon Wildlands got a huge, it was well received, medium to well received, but it got like a cult following. More people kept playing it and realizing it was one of the most like expansive open worlds that was fun to keep playing in for a long time afterwards. And so it became this game that people just constantly went back to, and I did myself. Breakpoint comes out and they're like, we're revolutionizing the game, we're changing it in all these different ways, and they pretty much misstepped with every one of those changes from everything I read and from public opinion, and I didn't think it was fantastic either. So it had this really strange time where it wasn't being played by a lot of people, and then the developers went back and they stripped away a lot of the things they'd added to it. They made it this like more sort of military sim. They took out a lot of like the leveling gear, all this kind of stuff, and have pushed it really hard. And they just had a what this was announced during kind of a Ghost Recon style digital event, and I like an anniversary.
Call it the Ghost Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance is coming. Oh, it's very good. And nice. Part of that was this. And I think this is a great addition to this game that no one is probably playing. Being like, remind me here, this is standalone, I guess, but it's going to be built in. It's using the Breakpoint engine. It's using everything that's in Breakpoint by the looks of it. I'm right. I think I'm right in saying that, right? This isn't.
I think you're totally right.
Yeah, I think they're trying to salvage.
So just for a second, I went, "Oh wait,
4 years building this game and go, let's try and make something in it work."
Because it's a really good looking game. It's a great engine. The map was just empty. They had all these problems with it. So I think taking what was there at its core and making a new mode out of it is great. I actually really like the idea that from all the news they announced, it's not just 100 people in shrinking circles trying to get to the main area. It's like an objective-based one where you work in teams around a map, and then you have to then sort of exfil out of there, and other people can disrupt that, which is kind of, I guess, like the is it the Dark Zone in
the Division?
In the Division, thank you. So I think they're good at coming up with those interesting modes. I just wonder if there'll be enough people playing it, and whether or not it's fun enough to play just with friends against maybe their AI scattered around. Because at its core, they've got a really good world and a really good engine, and they do, when the shooting is good, it's really good in these kind of games. It's been getting a lot of flack because not only was this game getting flack from the beginning, but anything slapping Battle Royale on it now kind of deservedly needs to be taken down a peg or two. But I don't think they had much to lose. I don't think this game had much to lose. So I think that's why they're kind of throwing everything at it at the moment. And I'd like it to be a kind of revival for this, because it's been really sad seeing Breakpoint just be like sitting, like they try to dress it up all the time. I even saw it on the Xbox Game Pass or something pop up. Not Game Pass, sorry, just on my Xbox. It's like, it's changed the thumbnail. It looks really gritty now. And they're like, it's a different game now. I'm like, no, it's not. I know what you were. So I think it could be cool. And I'm always interested in a spin on a asymmetrical open world multiplayer game. I think they're always worth a try to see if they're doing something different, because there's a lot of games doing the exact same thing. I don't know. Yeah. Peter, why are you sighing?
Take it down a peg or two.
Yeah.
I can't see the word frontline and not think about deworming my cats.
That's one of the objectives.
It takes 102 people
ruined the game for me.
Teams to do it.
Immediately ruined the game for me.
And look, I think you've now ruined the game for 713 other people.
I think as an idea, if they were like, let's make a battle royale from scratch, you would go, Ubisoft, what are you doing? You just did that with Hyperscape. I think it's a smart move to try and make, maybe it's sunk cost fallacy, but it's like they're trying to make this engine and all these assets that they built work.
Yeah.
Once this cycle of Ghost Recon. So look, I actually think mechanically it will be good and interesting. I don't know that it'll be diverse enough a battle royale to pull enough of an audience for it to succeed. But I hope it's good enough and people get enough fun out of it that it at least kind of like means that Yves Guillemot doesn't need to sell to Activision.
Yeah, which is just always there on the cards. It's always behind. There's just
That's
like
all
10 companies behind
hope.
Eve. Yeah.
The announcement that it was Battle Royale, I think, is what could easily turn... I think it's dangerous to even... Maybe they didn't publicly say Battle Royale, but that's just what every news article and outlet's been saying. Because, yeah, as I said, it's 102 large-scale mode where teams of 3 players complete objectives before calling for extraction. I think the one thing that Breakpoint was trying really hard to do, which they failed miserably at, which was make it this like survival game. There was like you had to eat, you had to fix your broken leg, you had to like lie under mud where troops walked over the top of you, and it never actually played into the actual gameplay. And that's fun. Fix that broken leg. And then the one of the updates they did was like a super hardcore survival mode with like no HUD, and you had to do all that kind of stuff, which people have said is good.
With the fix your broken leg and hiding under mud while people walk on you wasn't the hardcore mode?
No, it was like it was in there as a mechanic that the game was too easy, even on hard, and like had too many. Like you could actually not fix your broken leg or something like that. It was like not, and then they were like, let's actually make a really hardcore mode for people who love DayZs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm disappointed to see that like they haven't made a version of that. They haven't made like a sort of, you know, play this game for 3 hours and just like crawl around an empty island with one other person and try and something weird and like go really far in that direction. Maybe that was a bad example, but like lean into the survivalist mode, make it Alone, the video game, kind of like with guns or something. But maybe there's going to be elements of that in this, and I at least think it's worth seeing how they're going to make it objective based, because that sounds cool.
I think that, well, first off, Crossbuns in the chat says alternate game pitch: 100 people parachute into a map and are armed with flea protection and have to chase down one incredibly evasive cat to apply it. I think that totally works. I think the best thing that Ubisoft could do is just ditch the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon thing, because I think that it's this strange thing of like, when you say those words, all the audience who play those games have an image in their mind of what they want that game to be. But the game they deliver is never the game that people want that to be. Like, it's the same as like Splinter Cell, right? Like, again, a Tom Clancy thing where you go, everyone wants a new Splinter Cell who loves the word Splinter Cell, but they never deliver that game. They want to deliver something for all the people who don't like Splinter Cell. They want to like make a game for everybody, as opposed to like for the audience that the name is for. So I think with this, the announcement was like, I just looked at it and I go, I don't really know like what is different about this? Like what is the hook? And even though it has a different mode, I think that what's the name of the new shooter that they've got coming? That like
the class-based one that's kind of Pod meets Overwatch.
Yeah,
graffiti with graffiti.
Yeah,
graffiti shoots
based shooter. X-Defiant. That's right. X-Defiant. Like it's like they go, okay, we gotta give it an identity. So let's do that like sort of old man pop punk French vibe to our shooter. And if we don't have that, then we just have like completely bland military shooter. So I'm like, I don't know, Warzone, Apex, Fortnite. You're just wading into this space with something that doesn't seem particularly different. The thing about it is the thing that you're saying, Gus, which is like it's probably a little more hardcore than all those things, but it's not going to be as hardcore as the people who want it to be. The
people
like,
who play Armor.
Yeah, like so. Yeah. I just feel like they're trying to remember in Mean Girls where it was like stop trying to make fetch work. It's never going to happen. That's what I feel like with like Ghost Recon and
let Tom Clancy sleep.
Just let him sleep and come up with a new brand. We'll see.
Guys, I hate to break it to you, he isn't sleeping.
Oh God!
Let him rest. Let him rest.
Oh God! I've been changing him every day.
That bedroom door has been closed for quite a few years now.
What a twist! From one thing that has died to another, and Bungie have forsaken the Destiny 2 Vault, was something that went live last year, year 4, where in order to streamline the download and just the sort of like mass of content that was in Destiny 2, Bungie moved Mars, Io, Titan, Mercury, the Leviathan, and all of their associated content into the Destiny 2 vault. And last week, they announced that in February 2022, when Year 5 starts, when we get the Witch Queen campaign come out, expansion come out, the Forsaken campaign and the Tangled Shore destination are going to be added to the vault. Which is to say that they're basically gone from the game. They are keeping the Dreaming City location, but the campaign is gone. It's such a weird sort of like mixed feelings about this. But Pete, as the biggest Destiny player here, how do you feel about Forsaken not being in the game anymore?
I think it's disappointing it's always disappointing for big like PvE players to lose, and I am a PvE player, to lose content, particularly great content. You know, this is considered one of the better campaigns. I think, you know,
arguably the best, I feel.
Yeah, I think like I think Bungie are getting better and better at storytelling in the Destiny model. But even when this came out, it defied the things that were bad about Destiny storytelling to stand above the rest of Destiny storytelling to that point, particularly in Destiny 2. So yeah, it's sad that people like, you know, Steph in particular, it's like you go, anything to do with the Dreaming City and all those ideas are just like so up her alley.
Yeah.
Obviously the city itself staying for the moment, but that both of those places are interwoven in this story. I still haven't played through it.
Oh, really?
I haven't played through any of the campaigns. I don't care about them. But I barely even play through the campaigns attached to the seasons that happen. So, which are, you know, they're the kind of things that you tick off week to week kind of thing. So, I won't miss it, but I think the big thing about the Beyond Light launch and the first kind of wave of vaulting, it definitely felt like a bunch of stuff disappeared, and that was a bad feeling. And I don't think that vaulting is necessarily the wrong thing to do, but I would like to start seeing them with their legacy playlist kind of reintroduced maybe week to week, give people access to these things rather than like deleting things forever. And you know, vaulting means that they can do that, and they intend to. But I'd like to see them find fun ways to reintroduce these story beats for people to be able to interact with in a streamlined way.
Do you think that, like, obviously they're doing this because they're providing new content in Year 5, and like that's the takeaway from it? It's like, well, there's this stuff to play instead. But that bad feeling you're talking about is losing something that you felt like fleshed out the universe, and having just, as you said, timed or little weekend trips back to those areas kind of still makes it still feel relevant. Is that kind of what you mean?
Because the one of the hardest things about coming into Destiny fresh is looking at that destination screen and your quest log and going like, what the fuck am I meant to do?
Yeah.
Amen.
What the hell am I meant to do? And so having Mars and Io and soon the Tangled Shore, imagining all of these things on your map, but the new content is over here in this little corner of this map, and you just need to funnel your way this way. It's really hard for new players to find the right way to navigate the content, and removing the content makes it a much tidier experience. And I think it does make it a better experience. But I think it'd be great for people to be able to access the best of the best kind of content that has been locked away in the vault.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's one of those things where like it doesn't necessarily affect people who play the game currently, because they're keeping some of the other content as well, like the Vanguard operations playlist is staying in there. the Warden Nothing strike will remain in the game. And so there's some stuff where it's like, if you're a long-time Destiny player, some of the things that you might just return to for bounties or whatever is staying in there. But as a new player, you don't get to experience something that's really, really cool. It also means that the game stays at this rate. The game kind of feels like it's always going to stay the same size. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. If it is like you go, oh, you're coming into a game that has like a manageable amount of content, but you don't really know how you got there unless you just look at like, except for the fact that there's a little timeline thing in the map.
The timeline is good. I think the
It's
timeline
good,
does
but
a
it's
good
like,
job.
but you can't, like, you know, you go play WoW, you can play everything in WoW. You just could play the whole game and you can see how we got to where we are now if you want to. And I think that while that is also an overwhelming amount of content, there's also the argument that it's like, is there a way that you can, like, can you lock this stuff for new players and then like allow them to gradually unlock it? Obviously, it means that every time you introduce a new feature like weapon crafting, that now needs to be something that potentially is retroactively applied to every expansion's weapons that you get and blah, blah, blah. So there's all these balance issues. Yeah, I guess maybe it's not a bad thing. It's just not something that we've seen MMOs do before. So now that Destiny is like, this is what we're doing, it just continues to cement Destiny as like a game where they're like, we just do things a little bit differently all the time. Like all our choices are just a little bit different. It's not necessarily bad, but it is just strange. The final thing that I would say, I was just looking at Steam charts because it's kind of like the only way we can see Destiny players in a semi-meaningful way. And while there's a peak right now, like September saw an average player base of 89,000 players over a day, it sort of like sits on 60,000 and has for the last year and a half. And it peaks a little bit when new content comes out, obviously, but then it goes back down to 60, which, and this is so unscientific, but it kind of indicates that Destiny may not be growing. It might just be like people play the thing and then drop off. So maybe they're not seeing this huge influx of new players. So they're like, well, it doesn't really matter if we remove this stuff because maybe we'll get new players with the next thing, but it's not like every month tens of thousands of people are joining our game and so therefore want to experience this content. I don't know.
I think it's it's a game that you play in kind of cycles as well. Like, I didn't play the last 2 seasons, even though I'd paid for them because I was like, I've had enough Destiny. So it's the kind of game that like, and as well, 60,000 people on Steam. You've probably got another 30 and 30 across Xbox
other
and
platforms,
and PlayStation that are now crossplay as well. So I think I think crossplay will like promote growth, just because it's more ways for people to play together. And it's like, oh, I'll play Destiny. I've always been a PlayStation player, but my Xbox friends play Destiny, and now we can play together. So why not? So I think
it does. I was going to say, like Nick, it does feel like a management system rather than a way to look enticing because as someone who's come into it and played a heap of hours recently and was getting into the Forsaken campaign, it's still like, for me, I actually found it really discombobulating to see all these places and things that I couldn't go to or that were there. And you're right, the timeline was probably where I had to like sink the most sort of study into to work out what was going on and what was happening. But as you said, it's not appealing to me coming into it and realizing these slabs are missing and that things were there that I missed out on. And so I feel like it's definitely pleasing or trying to keep the player base that are there happy with this like complete package that, as I said, isn't becoming bloated, I guess, is another thing that would actually become even messier, even though it would be more concise. Not concise, complete, I guess. Yeah.
Well, they are, to make sure that you can play it if you haven't. And I really do recommend playing the Forsaken campaign if you have an interest in Destiny. It's a really fun story, but beyond that, the missions are actually great. Like, it's like a Western. You're kind of going after like the seven or eight like escaped bad guys from a prison, and they all have a different cool mechanic. Like, it's just a really fun shooter campaign. From December 7th until February next year, the campaign will be free for everyone to play. And also on December 7th, they're releasing the Forsaken pack, which includes access to the Last Wish raid, the Shattered Throne dungeon, includes all the Forsaken exotics and 3 Forsaken ciphers. So if you have purchased Forsaken previously, like this was the best thing for me, because it's like, I own Forsaken. I haven't got some of the exotics from it. There's still like exotic missions sitting in my thing, but I will now get those weapons because I purchased the game. And at some point they're just like, all right, here you go, like take them.
Yeah.
You've paid for them already.
Yeah.
So yeah,
these don't mean anything to us anymore. You can have these now. You're like, yay.
Totally, yeah. So it does seem like we might be walking down the path of every time they release an expansion, they fridge an old one, vault an old expansion. We'll see how that turns out for them. So yeah, interesting times in Destiny. Moving on now, a little story that seems cool. Sony have been testing timed game demos. This is happening in the United Kingdom right now. It's currently just for 2 games, Death Stranding Director's Cut and Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
Very similar games.
Yeah, one of those is a really excellent game. And you can basically download the game, and you can play, for Death Stranding, you can play up to 6 hours of the game for free.
That gets you to the second menu, so that's huge.
Yeah, totally. And Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
That gets you past the Hideo Kojima faff credits.
Yeah. 10 times he mentions his name. And then Sackboy: A Big Adventure gives you 5 hours of free play time. And so
you can finish it twice.
So this is super cool. Because it's like, oh, this is like a decent chunk of time being able to play with a game and see if you like it or not. The one thing that they seem to have gotten really wrong is that included in your game time is the time it takes for you to download the game. So from the minute you hit the download button, that is when your timer starts for how long you have. And so depending on your internet speed, Death Stranding sitting at 68 gig, and having to download 48 gig before it's even playable means that you could just basically download a game that you can't play.
Have to delete.
Because you've used up the entire time. With the exception of that, this seems pretty cool though, Pete.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. Hopefully they rethink the timer. I'm not entirely sure what the mentality of it is. I cannot for the life of me justify it.
The like including the timer,
including the download time.
Yeah,
like it's maybe it's literally just a it's a prevention tool for people switching off their consoles, like to taking them offline, and being able to play forever or something. They haven't got a good system to stop people from manipulating how and when they play those infinite hours after the fact. That's the only thing I can think of, is that they go, it starts now because we can see you now, and we're gonna put a thing onto your console that stops you playing it. Like, you install this game and you install this code that goes, switch that off after 6 hours.
The other thing it could be is like, just you, like all those ways where you go, you think this would be like, you'd think it would be really easy to add a save system to Returnal, but it turns out you need to rewrite the entire game. And it could be a thing of like, once you hit that button, there's just something in the back end of the PlayStation Store that's like, you have activated this game. And so therefore it works off the time that you activated it, not the first time that you launched it. And so therefore there's nothing we can do about it. But I do like the idea of, if you fix that, being able to download something and go like play an hour or something and see what it's like.
I wonder what the research has shown in terms of hitting buy on that 6 hour timer or 5 hour timer at the end of it, saying like that clearly means that they're getting good return on people who start a game and go, I have to keep playing this, versus releasing a vertical slice demo that you go, the opposite of that is you download that demo for a couple of gig less or quite a few gig less. You play that little self-encapsulated moment and go like, cool, I got my fill of Death Stranding. I did half a mission or a mission and I felt like that's what the game is. There is literally no more for me rather than going to the store and buying it. So maybe it's just, it's creating that little link from the demo to the full purchase, or, you know, even if you did what, even if that vertical slice demo said, now go buy the full game, you're like, yeah, but now download the full game as well. Nah, I'm done. It's like, it's just that tiny little bit that goes, no, I can just press go now, and the game will keep going and keep playing through. Yeah, I find that interesting, because as someone who like grew up on demos, on shareware, on trying to exploit game demos to get the most fun out of them and that kind of thing as well, I think this makes sense logically, and clearly on a markability sense as well. It is something that people can go, it gets them to click go on the store as well when they have no money down, to say, yeah, I want Death Stranding. I've always wanted to buy it, but I've stopped myself at this pop-up menu because I just can't leave this.
It's all entirely hypothetical, of course, because no one's actually ever said they want to play Death Stranding.
More than twice, apparently, now, considering this being a director's cut. But yeah, it gets people across the line of just that hit play now, or like get me that game. And then it's also just lubricating that kind of like transition from, okay, it's here, I've played some, I'm invested, I want the full thing now. So
and it's like Jen Defira says it would be good, since you wouldn't need to replay that part you've demoed as well. You just continue on.
Yeah.
And
the great thing about what the Switch is doing their demos.
Oh, yeah, the last two.
So good.
I've seen it in some like Xbox games and stuff as well. Like, the more that happens, the better. I think that's one of the
should
best.
Be the standard. Like,
if that had been around when I was younger, amazing.
The fun thing saying that, like, if they fix the timer thing, then I don't think they would allow you to play 6 hours of Death Stranding. I think they would probably give you an hour of Death Stranding or an hour of Sackboy or something. I think that out of all the companies, game publishers, at the moment with the two games they're doing, Death Stranding was a platform exclusive. It's now on PC, I guess, but Sackboy you can't play anywhere else. Sony have the kinds of games that I think that you don't just play an hour of and then ditch. Like, the really king hit Sony games are story-based, prestige style games where you go, it's not like you play an hour of, ideally they're saying you don't play an hour of God of War and
Last of Us, God of War, Horizon,
you get that hook in you and you go, okay, I need to see the rest. Whereas like, I think a lot more like Microsoft published games, you could tend towards, like, if it was a Forza or something, you could be like, yeah, I'll play an hour of Forza and then I don't need to play it again. That's fine. I think that it works for them. It'll be interesting to see if, obviously it's just out in the UK at the moment for a couple of games, but if it gets any broader, then yeah, we'll see.
I also don't think it's going to damage the people who who were thinking of buying it and then getting their fill from it. And I think you're right. If they fix that time, I think they'll probably definitely truncate that hour or to an hour or something. I don't think that's going to stop sales in any way. Those sales are going to be there continually. The people who want it, this might just give them that little boost to the people who are Death Stranding curious. And I promote that curiosity because it's a great game.
And we'll just ignore that and moving on very quickly. PS3 and Vita stores aren't dead. They got saved thanks to internet outcry a couple of months ago. But Sony are standing over them with a pillow, and they're just very slowly inching that pillow towards the face of it. A couple of months ago, they said that they were getting rid of the PS3 and Vita store. You couldn't use them anymore. There was some outcry. They said, okay, we're not going to permanently close them. But now they've announced that they'll soon be removing the option to pay for items using credit card, debit card, and PayPal on those older consoles. The only way you're going to be able to purchase them is to add funds directly to your like PS3 or Vita wallet. And potentially, I think that to either purchase. Oh, no. Sorry. You would not be able to use those to add funds to your digital wallet. You can only use gift cards, product vouchers, and subscription vouchers on those services. So it sort of makes it functionally not useful.
Yeah. It's you can still redeem existing like services, but you can't use a credit card attached to it anymore.
Yeah.
Look, sad for the 8 people still using their Vita. Like, it's like things have to shut down. It's sad, but like, I mean, they're a business and they're I'm sure they're running those servers at a loss just for the power it takes to run them versus the amount of money that's being spent on them.
Well, I think the thing that the stuff that I heard when the first talk about the stores being closed happened was that the big reason was supporting payment systems. Because as soon as you do that, you need to start, like you need to keep everything updated as payment systems get updated and patched. You need to like keep that running on your store, but then you
Pay
also
the
need to
MasterCard
provide
and Visa fees and stuff.
yeah, all that stuff, and you need to provide
Security on
customer
that
service
stuff.
when it comes to like helping people with those purchases. So it seems like by removing that, then you've functionally cut out a lot of the.
But sorry,
what they should do is give everyone, like whitelist everyone who's on a Vita. Just say you can have every single game on this platform for free.
I would love that.
You
so
have
much.
3 months to download it all.
Yep.
Go nuts.
No one tell the developers.
No one tell the developers. We're switching it all off. We'll eat the cost.
Yeah,
We'll eat the $34 that we owe to developers after this period.
I think it's say to MasterCard for that like paper system. But hang on, I'm confused. I thought that said that Sony notes customers can still make purchases through the PS3 and Vita store provided they first add funds to their wallets via the PlayStation Store on a PS4, PS5, or a PC.
Yeah.
So
okay,
right now, you could literally go onto a PC. Like saying PS5 and PS4 sounds like if it was only those two consoles, that's a bit of an upsell to be like, hey, you have to get a PS5 now if you want to put games on your Vita.
If you want to play your Vita.
Yeah, exactly, which is shit. But a PC or mobile device means you can go onto those platforms, a website. You can put money in your wallet and then go onto them. So I think in terms of, they're shutting down the payment system direct because that's costing them money, as Pete said, and that's things they have to support. But it's still there and you're fine. And why are you playing a Vita? What's wrong with you?
I mean, it is. No, don't shit on the Vita. It's a great console. But it is. But you're right.
Actually.
Yes, you can do that. I think that adding one more step is just like it is that thing of like that's the inching of the pillow. I think.
Yeah.
And
I did love my Vita, and Peter, we loved our Vitas when we played Spelunky together. Remember? You don't remember this, do you? We played it all summer long together. We had a lovely summer playing Spelunky together.
There's no fucking way I spent a summer with you.
There is
like what? Like maybe there was like 15 minutes over lunch at Good Game.
It felt like a whole summer.
There's no way I spent a summer.
We were on holiday together.
This is some real Shutter.
He actually doesn't remember. This was a bit until I saw that face. Now I'm terrified.
No, this is you, Gus. You are Leonardo DiCaprio, and you are hugging Pete, who is Michelle Williams, and you're like everything is great, but in reality,
I haven't
Michelle
seen
Williams
that movie.
is like on fire or
we went and saw it
drowned or
together.
something. Wonderful.
Good.
A great loop. I did see a bunch of people in chat, just very quickly. This means nothing for podcast listeners, but talking about the way that the person was holding the Vita in that video, and the left hand sort of like the thumbstick, like left thumb on the left forefinger was using the D-pad above the thumbstick. So they're kind of like pinching that. Very uncomfortable.
Okay. We're losing
a little bit of you, Nick. Sorry, I think you're.
I was just saying very comfortable.
The router's getting boxed up and thrown away.
Yeah. Oh my god! See what I'm sitting in right now? It's ridiculous. But maybe I'll get a little more time to pack if I went and worked for Eidos Montreal, because they are officially moving to a 4-day work week. The studio behind Guardians of the Galaxy, many other titles, has announced it will be switching to a 4-day work week in an effort to remain productive, provide a sustainable environment for its employees. This is everyone across the studio This is going to apply to basically everyone. They're shortening the work week from 40 hours to 32 hours a week. It will not affect working conditions or salaries of the employees. And the head of the studio said, concretely, we want to reduce the time at work, but increase the quality of time invested, whether it's a team basis or for the studio as a whole, a promising right balance for everything. And the idea is to not decrease the amount of time worked on a game, but decrease the amount of time you are at work having to work on that. So it looks like it's probably going to lengthen production cycles, but shorten work weeks, which seems overall a very positive thing.
It's great. This is happening in a lot of different industries, and I think the gaming industry is one that would benefit massively. I think gaming podcasts and production studios should also look at adopting a similar kind of mantra at this stage. But
last week we worked 6 days.
Yeah, we did. No, this is a thing that's been happening. I think there was a trial in Iceland midway through the year, and they made it almost like, I don't know if everyone had to apply to abide to this 4-day working week, but it was an overwhelming success. There were articles written about it. They were like, this is a better way to function as your work life and your home life. People were getting more productivity was up. So yeah, I can't speak to what it would mean for the development cycle of a game. As you said, it would probably lengthen that out slightly, but the quality would improve. I think the working mentality and the mind space of everyone as part of those projects would improve drastically, and that's the important thing. That gives you a better game or a better product in the end of the day. So I think that's cool. And a studio big, like a big studio like Eidos Montreal, I think are a great trendsetter for it. Like maybe that's what it needs versus, I'm sure lots of indies and stuff call their own hours, but they're probably the overworked ones who have to, do 7-day weeks and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, maybe this becomes the new norm, guys.
Yeah,
guys.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's also yes, everything agree. It's also really good optics ahead of a high-profile game launching this month.
Yeah.
In the lead up to that, we hear so many stories of crunch. For them to be going, hey, we're actually reducing the amount of work hours in the 2 weeks leading up to the launch of this massive IP game release. I think it sends a really that amplifies the message that's being sent here. Like if this was 2 months after launch, you'd be like, yeah, but how fucking hard did you just make your team work?
Or how hard have they worked to get to this point as well? They've been working 8-day weeks. It's like, that's physically not possible. And then the 2 weeks before, they're like, maybe it's 4 now. And it's like, they're all dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's like, this is a press release, so it's hard to know what's been happening there. But
well, I think
you would hope that if they're making decisions like this, it speaks to how the business has been run in the past, and that people have at the studio, devs at the studio, have actually been having quite a good time of it compared to a lot of other studios around the world.
Yeah, and I think that like doing it, you don't. I think you don't do this as a company without having your team or your employees sort of like working and pushing towards something like this. I think that it's like again, it is just a press release, and we'll see how it all turns out. But I think that there would be a lot of people at this studio who have been working hard to help make this happen, and really justify the reason why this could work for it to happen. I applaud the company for doing it, and I saw Joshy in the chat said. Something I can't quite find it, but it was
great for employees?
No, he said how long are those 4 days though? And they are just short.
8 hours. So,
they're so a lot of the time, and this is also a reasonable thing. Seen lots of studies about the idea of like work 4 days, but they're longer days by like 2 hours each day, but you get the Friday off, and it increases productivity. But here they are going from 40 hours to 32 hours. They are just cutting a day out and not adding that time to the other 4 days. So it really is like overall a massive improvement to quality of life if they pull it off in the way that they're promising.
Because you wonder how that motivates you to not slack off in slack off's a bad term, but like the time you kill in those working days when it's spread out between five. That's versus...
totally the thing of going that like that's why all the studies say it works is that there's a lot of time at work where you just are kind of like killing time and not doing something, and while that
your brain needs a moment.
Yeah, part of that is important to have the downtime, but it's like you've got the space. I've got 5 days. I just
even when you don't, it's like it gives the illusion of this padded on week that you've just got to like get through. And now it's like, no, you've got 4 days to do like a tight 32 or what hours to get whatever you're working on done. And I think it's a really healthy thing to see. And it's great.
I had a 4-day work week for 2 years, and it was the best decision like I made when I was running that show. It was just everyone worked better.
And I hate talking about it, but like off the back of COVID, where people like the line between home and work, I'm sure has been as blurry as it ever could be. I think this is a good kind of reaction to that when people are on call accidentally at every hour of the day because there's no real distinguishing, between what is day and work and night and up and south. And it's like, I think this is probably a healthy thing that people should be doing coming out of something like a pandemic. It would be really healthy.
Yeah. I'm going to just take this next story and roll it into announcements and delays. Gearbox has announced that Randy Pitchford is going to be stepping down as president of Gearbox Software, but he's still going to be the CEO of the whole company, which is Gearbox Studios. So he's still the CEO and president of Gearbox Studios, and he said that he's still going to be having a high-level creative and business strategy. He's going to be dealing with high-level creative and business strategy across all the companies, but he is shifting his day-to-day focus to Gearbox Entertainment Company, which is the to Gearbox Studios, which is their like film development arm of Gearbox. So really banking heavily on the idea that like the Borderlands movie is going to be a success, and there's going to be more of that. Stranger of Paradise: Final Fantasy Origin arrives for PC via the Epic Games Store, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox on the 18th of March, 2022. So this is the Final Fantasy Souls-like with Chaos. Remember that one?
Yeah.
So official release date for March. I'll tell you what, though, the thing I'm most excited for, Pete, line of the trailer for Choo Choo Charles, which is coming in Q1 of 2022. Navigate an island in an old train, upgrade it over time, and use that train to fight an evil sentient train that terrorizes your home. Charles is hungry. Don't be his next meal.
This looks amazing.
This should be on your. This game should be on your fantasy draft, Gus.
It should have.
This is the survival game.
I choose this.
This is like a Steph game and a Nick game made a baby.
Oh, but there's a Gus game in there. It's an island survival game as well.
That's true.
Like, I'm all for that. And there's a bit where you can roll your train in the mud and just hide there and hope that the other train doesn't notice you.
So Choo Choo Charles, I saw this trailer so much over the last week, so I'm excited to see what this is like. Kingdom Hearts Sora is officially coming out of Super Smash Bros. The last reveal of the Smash Bros. Fighting roster. This is the end of Super Smash Bros. Apparently, in terms of like fighter updates.
Yeah, Sora's Kingdom Hearts has that effect.
I like of all the stupid JRPG humanoid characters that they added, this one would have probably been the most interesting because they've definitely added more boring ones before, like Keyblade, and it matches the kind of like Smash Brother physicality of a cute big arm, big head, big eye kind of character, but it's still another human running around Smash, which is just like,
I know. I did see a bunch of people go like, I'm so glad it's not another sword guy. I'm like, what the fuck do you think he is?
It's exactly another sword guy.
It's exactly what, it's just a key.
Yeah.
Maybe another Kirby or a Duck Hunt dog.
He's colorful in a character, unlike a Sephiroth or something like that. That is just like, who is that?
Great timing.
Is that Sephiroth?
Yes. Yeah, amazing.
I was like, long coat, long sword.
Yeah.
Long face. They just bit long. He's just a long person.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw lots of people excited about this who are Kingdom Hearts fans and Smash fans. Apparently, it's like the one. It was. They put out a vote for who should we add to Super Smash Brothers, and this was the overwhelming winner. So yeah.
Maybe if the moves are like bringing Disney characters in for a special move or something.
Doesn't bring in any Disney character, unfortunately.
All right, get
Disney
stuffed.
Characters come in.
Bring back Sephiroth.
It's the least interesting part of Kingdom Hearts is added to the game. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, those games are coming in Nintendo Switch. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5, 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Pro, Hearts 3 Nintendo Switch. Pete could stream all those on the go. That's exciting.
I reckon I'll give them a shot.
They feel like they could live well on the Switch. Yeah.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
No.
I know you are, but I feel like it's a good place for that level of polished game.
Yeah, I agree. And then finally, after many leaks, Rockstar Games has officially announced Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, the definitive edition comprising Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. The games are coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC, quote, later this year. And then we're going to get mobile ports of all three games next year as well. So there you go. It's finally happening.
Quick side note, I'm just disappointed that it's not just next gen and PC, because therefore definitive means it's just, if it has to work on Switch and mobile, it's just going to be shiny. Like it's not a remake, it's not a rebuild, whatever. It's like, which is what I really wanted for those games. So I'm a bit disappointed.
I'm happy.
You're happy. You're happy. You're excited. You're going to play this?
Yep.
There
Well, I'll play a little bit of each of them.
I'll dabble.
Yeah, I'll dabble.
All right, that is it for the news. That's literally all the video game news you need to know.